Jimmy Butler Michael Jordan's illegitimate son? Well, let me explain. It was discovered that in 1988, Michael Jordan did not claim an unwanted child because he didn't want to destroy his marriage to his then-wife Juanita Vanoy. The child would then take on the mother's name of Butler, and it was reported that Michael Jordan paid to have the mother go away quietly and keep it a secret. This was also he would not tarnish his pristine Hall of Fame image. After this, Jimmy Butler went on to have a traumatic and dysfunctional childhood. His supposed dad, Jimmy Butler II, didn't exactly tick the responsible father box. When Jimmy Butler III, or should we say Jimmy Buckets for clarity. Anyways, when the NBA star was born on September 14th, 1989, his dad abandoned him and his mother Londa Butler not long after. Londa had to raise Jimmy alone in the suburbs of Tomball, Texas in the 90s, which already meant little or no proper provisions for a stable upbringing. But she tried until one day when Jimmy was just 13 years old, Londa couldn't anymore and irresponsibly kicked Jimmy out. You heard that right, she quite frankly kicked him to the curb, saying the words, "I don't like the look of you, you gotta go," to a teenage Jimmy Butler. As you would expect, he had no place to live and no money to get around. After spending some time shuffling around living with his friends, he eventually found a home with future Denver Broncos wide receiver Jordan Leslie, who was an up-and-coming football player at the time. Jordan's mother, Michelle Lambert, opened her house to Jimmy despite already having her hands full. She had 4 kids from her late husband and 3 others from her new husband, meaning adding Jimmy gave her 8 kids to raise. According to Jimmy, Michelle was a lovely woman, and she took him in on the condition that Jimmy promised to be a role model for her kids. With a stable home and a family to support, Jimmy focused on his education and basketball at Tomball High School, and a couple of decades later, he's one of the NBA's best. Surprisingly enough, Jimmy has said he still has a relationship with both of his biological parents, who abandoned him. In his words, "My mom, my father, we love each other, that's never going to change." It's good for Jimmy to have his family around him now, but his childhood difficulties made room for rumors to circulate that Jimmy's mom had an affair with Jordan in the past. This is something that has been trending news for a while now. Quite frankly, since the 2020 NBA Finals a couple of years ago when Jimmy nearly took Miami all the way. And you really can't blame most of the conspiracy theories. Well, maybe you can, but they do have a point when it comes to similarities between Jordan and Jimmy. You know what? That's one similarity right there. Jimmy, Jordan. Both start with the letter J. Okay, let's face business now. Jimmy Butler is arguably the most clutch player the NBA has had since prime LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. There's a reason why he's called Playoff Jimmy after all. For a dude who got drafted by a pretty decent Chicago Bulls side in 2011 and has spent his career playing for the Philadelphia Sixers and Miami Heat, all in eras far off from being championship contenders, Jimmy Butler's clutchness to pull up with the goods when his team needs it the most is as good as anyone. In the 119 playoff games he has played in all his career, Jimmy has averaged an outstanding 21.3 points per game, backed up with 6.2 rebounds and 4.6 assists. That's numbers even big team players Klay Thompson don't have. For some real comparison, Damian Lillard and DeMar DeRozan have just as good numbers, but have only half the playoff appearances that Jimmy has. His biggest moment came during the finals in 2020 though, in which he averaged 26.2 points, 8.3 rebounds, 9.8 assists, 2.2 steals, and 0.8 blocks per game.
Defended well, but overcomes Markieff Morris. He's 7 of 10 from the field and hits that as the shot clock expires.
Butler legit dropped 40 points, 11 rebounds, and 13 assists in Game 3, and 35 points, 12 rebounds, 11 assists, and 5 steals in Game 5 against LeBron's Lakers.
James against Butler, drives, gets inside, stops, blocked by Butler, rejected out of bounds with 4.2 left on the shot clock. Shot clock at 4, Butler drives, stops, up top Robinson, puts up a 3, it's good! It's good! Duncan Robinson from downtown!
Every time this comes up, it makes you wonder what the rest of that Miami roster was doing while Jimmy was cooking. And when Jimmy dropped similar numbers in both 2022 and 23, only to have an Eastern Conference Finals appearance and NBA Finals runner-up for his troubles. But that's a topic for another time. For now, who else do you remember to wear this clutch in a white and red kit? The realest OG Michael Jordan. Not gonna lie, it's probably impossible to point out which year or games he was the most clutch, but a playoff average of 33.4 points, 6.4 rebounds, and 5.7 assists in 179 games tells all the story. After that 2020 balling on out, fans began drawing comparisons between MJ's and Jimmy's abilities to completely take charge of a playoff series. It was also impossible to ignore the fact that both players absolutely get off from taking responsibility to take the most crucial plays every time. But while drawing the playing ability comparisons, they must have stumbled on something quite generic: the physical resemblance between these two guys. For real, picture Jimmy Butler with his head skinned or MJ with Jimmy's hairdo. You can't deny the facial resemblance is uncanny. And here's the thing. When you go looking for something that might not be there, you'll probably find something to make it look like you're not completely insane for even looking in the first place. In this case, one of the things everyone seemed to suddenly notice is that Jimmy actually spent the earlier years of his NBA career playing for what team? MJ's Chicago Bulls! Jimmy got drafted in the first round with the 30th overall pick and had a slow start, struggling in his first couple of seasons. However, he came for the 2014-15 as a completely different man, winning the NBA Most Improved Player award and hasn't slowed down since. With the Bulls, Butler got 2 of his 6 All-Star selections, made the All-NBA third team once, and NBA All-Defensive second team thrice. Jimmy getting drafted by the Bulls sounds pretty normal at first glance, but here's the thing. After spending his freshman season without D1 college ball at Tyler Junior College as a 2-star recruit, Jimmy got an athletic scholarship to play for Marquette, where he developed to an NBA prospect across his 3 seasons there. But that was all he was, an NBA prospect, not a first-round pick. Everyone expected Jimmy to be a second-round pick, with somewhere between the 40th and 45th picks. Imagine the surprise when Bulls selected him with the 30th overall pick, with the likes of Justin Harper, Kyle Singler, Tyler Honeycutt, and Trey Thompkins yet to be selected. Sure, none of these dudes turned out to be as good as Jimmy had been in the league, so everyone kinda praises Chicago for making the right gamble on Jimmy. But could it have been more than just a gamble? If Jimmy actually was related to MJ, like the rumors suggest, who's to say Jordan didn't just give a call to his connections in the Bulls front office to have his boy get drafted a bit early? Let's be real here, Jordan is Chicago's greatest ever player, so of course he could call in a couple of favors if he had familiar reasons to call that could take the mock draft 43rd pick to number 30 in the actual draft. Makes sense, right? Well, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. However, you should know that we can confidently tell you they are all rumors. That's right, Michael Jordan and Jimmy Butler are 100% not related biologically, and the stats back it up. The original post that sparked this theory was a poorly constructed post on the website terraceowens.com from 2016 that referenced a tipster claiming Butler might be Jordan's illegitimate son. To keep it a buck with you, merely seeing the post, you can tell it's a bunch of jargon with countless typos and grammatical errors. The report that started it all claimed that Jordan had refused to claim an unwanted child in 1988 to save his marriage at the time. Do you remember what year we said Jimmy was born though? 1989, and September is quite far off in the year. Jimmy's mother wouldn't even have been pregnant with him by the time this fake news claimed Jordan rejected a child. To add to that, Jimmy's biological father is alive and well. So if he wasn't actually Jimmy's dad, he definitely would have had the DNA test done to prove that. Jordan has been married twice and has 5 children across the 2 marriages. These are the facts. Way back in 1991, a woman named Carla Naffel claimed that Jordan was the father of her child, but DNA tests proved it was all cap. So yeah, many women have tried pinning a child on the NBA legend, and till date, nothing has struck. Jimmy Butler being his son is just another of these fake news and should totally be disregarded.